Hi, I'm Christopher Kimball from Milk Street at Home. Today I want to show you how to make homemade bread in less than 30 minutes without an oven. Of course, I'm talking about flatbreads, and this country doesn't have much of a tradition for flatbreads, except of course for cornmeal, corn with water, maybe some salt, cooked over a piece of metal or a hot stone. Scones were also cooked that way initially. So there is some tradition, but nothing like the rest of the world. Now, a friend of mine, Anissa, Helou, she lived in London and Paris, and she comes from Beirut. She wrote a book called Feast that has dozens of flatbread recipes. They're really amazing, most of which I've never heard of. There's Saj, there's Iranian flatbreads, Somali pancakes, naan, of course, from India, saloof, which is from the Galilee area, which is a thicker, very light flatbread. When I was in Beirut, of course, I had some flatbreads. I went to a restaurant where they grilled small birds, and they serve them wrapped in flatbreads. For breakfast, you might get any number of flatbreads. There's one called Manaeesh, which is cooked in a Taboon oven. Taboon oven rotates like this. It has bumps on it to imitate the hot stones that were originally used to bake the bread. So it has lots of ups and downs in the finished bread, usually covered with an herb paste. It's made from Za'atar, which is a wild thyme, delicious. So in Rome, however, in Italy, they have Piadina, which is a flatbread. This is the one we're going to make today. Now, they also, of course, have pizza. I went to a Forno di Campofiore, which is very famous, and they make these long breads that are 4 or 5 feet long, about this wide, and they cut them into slices. You can get zucchini, thinly sliced zucchini on them, a simple tomato sauce, olive oil, and salt. But Piadina is really a terrific bread, and you can make it in a skillet, and it's often used to make a sandwich. So here's how it works. So you take 2 cups of bread flour, a little baking soda and salt, put that in a food processor. Next up, you use 1/3 cup of lard, and let me give you a little advertisement for lard. I have pork lard and chicken schmaltz or lard. It adds tremendous flavor to this, so I highly recommend you buy lard. Even the low quality stuff from the supermarket's fine. 1/3 cup of room temperature lard into the flour, 10 seconds to pulse. Then you add a liquid, 1/4 cup of water mixed with 1/4 cup of whole milk yogurt, don't use low fat. Put that in for a few seconds, and then start adding additional water, 4 or 5 tablespoons, until the dough comes together into a wet ball. Take it out, divide it into 4 parts. I use a little bit of flour on the surface, gently shape it into balls. I put that on a half baking tray with parchment paper. I spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray on top and a little bit of plastic wrap loosely covered. It only has to rest 15 minutes. That's the best part of the recipe. Finally, get a cast iron skillet nice and hot. Take each ball, roll it out. Don't worry about getting it to 10 inches, which is what the recipe says. 8 to 10 inches is fine. If it starts really pulling back, don't worry about it. Place it in the skillet for 1.5 to 2 minutes. You'll see the top bubble up, and then you lift up the bread, and underneath it's charred. You want to see nice char marks. Turn it over, finish it in 1/2 minute to a minute. So you have this great warm bread. Repeat with the other 3. Now, the classic way to serve a sandwich with Piadina would be with some thinly sliced prosciutto, which is what I'm using here, and arugula. That's all you need to have. I do like to use something else, though, just to serve it as an appetizer. In the supermarket, you can buy tamarind chutney. It's in almost any supermarket. And with some softened butter, and mix them together, and you get this great tamarind butter. It's just absolutely delicious. You can put that on the hot bread, cut it into wedges, and serve it with cocktails or with a glass of wine. So that's the secret to 30-minute bread in half an hour. Just a couple cups of bread flour, a little yogurt and water, baking powder, salt. It's good to go. You can make it into sandwiches, anything you like. Piadina, the answer to quick bread.